All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us today. As you guys might know, my name is Melissa and I am from the Wood and Wick Co. And today we have the lovely treat of having Ashley Fathergill here joining us, who is a marketing expert by trade and the candle creator of Upside Goods Co. So I'm super excited to present the floor to her. She's going to be sharing a lot today about getting your candle lines and inventory in order and just her tips of the trade. So Ashley, I will go ahead and let you take the floor and we look forward to hearing about what you have to say.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. In my self-talk that I always have like in the middle of the night last night, because when else do you like solve the world's problems besides like 3 a.m.? I might be alone on that, but I was like, oh my God, no one's going to show up. So this is exciting. That is not the case. So I appreciate you guys being here. I know a lot of you are muted and don't have your photos on, but I'm just going to pretend that you guys are all smiling at me and that you're laughing at my dad jokes that I probably will drop unbeknownst to myself because I'm nervous. So yes, thank you. Thank you, Mel. So yeah, my name is Ashley and about a year and some change ago, I decided to launch a candle business. And it was really just like my COVID baby is what I call it at farmers markets whenever I meet people. And basically a little bit of background so you're just not like, who is this girl rambling on the screen? From basically my educational background was marketing, but I don't clout that too much just simply for the fact that like Instagram wasn't even a thing when I went to college. So if you do the math on that, it's humbling and alarming all at the same time. So there's that. But I think a lot of with marketing and with like running a business is really just like pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and just figuring things out on your own, which is like daunting and scary because we're in this huge like evolution of like be your own boss, be your own creator. And you really see a lot of things out there now that there's like, you know, there's record numbers of people like leaving their full-time jobs. They're like, damn the man, screw my 401k, which don't screw your 401k, make your own 401k. That was a big move of mine. But there's just this like really, there's like a revolution really that's happening of like the way that we think of how we obtain our money and what we create success and what we consider successful. So just as a background of that, like marketing was my educational background, but really, I worked full-time through college selling diamonds. That was like my thing. I sold jewelry at Hellsberg Diamonds, if you guys are at all familiar with that place. And so I really got a sales background there, which is pivotal in the success of everything I did as I started to layer on my career. And then I got into textbook sales, publishing sales. And with that, I really owned my own territory. And that's when I brought my marketing back into my business and back into my success. And so from there, it's really when I started marketing my own campaigns, my own like brand within a corporation, which is really hard to do. And just kind of like allowed my creativity to evolve, but also like built my business sense. And it's 6 going on 7 years now because it's 2022 and I cannot wrap my brain around that. I'm still like processing 2020 in a lot of ways. I'm assuming you guys probably have the same feelings. And yeah, so basically in 2015, I was working a full-time job. I had just got my yoga certification and decided that I wanted to offer something different in the state of New Mexico, which is where I live. And so I really just like went into this full creativity blast while having the like backbone of my full-time job. So I'm assuming a lot of you have had a full-time job or do have one still now. And so I definitely get and can empathize with the juggling of managing the paychecks, managing the full-time career, and then also trying to start a side hustle. And that's exactly where I started. And I just say everything is like grassroots that I've done. So yes, I have an educational background in marketing and business, but everything that I have considered successful in my career, whether it's candles or yoga or my marketing business, has all been just from trial and error, like having the mentality of try everything once and then learn from that and change the plan from there. Because I'm assuming you all are on here because you're doing a candle or skincare line or something that is deeply ingrained with Wood and Wick. And so I'm just going to speak on those assumptions, but apply it however you need to. So 6, 7 years ago, I started the yoga business. Within a year of that, I quit my full-time job, AKA my safety net, and decided to go full throttle with the support of my husband, my mom, friends, and family, and did yoga and all the things. COVID happened. No one wants to go to yoga then. And so I kind of had to just divide and conquer and figure out what I was going to do. And the less sexy version of this story is that around May or April of 2020, I was in a very, very deep, dark place. Like mentally, I just was not, I was shutting down even beyond the likes of having a FaceTime with a friend or anything like that. Mental health is the foundation of all of my businesses and my platforms. You have to take care of yourself before you take care of others. I'm still learning this. But from that rose the thought of making candles. I don't have a fun story around it. It was just like, I wonder what it takes to make a candle because I burn so many candles and I go to Home Goods and Target and I give them all my money and I just want to know. And there was no answer besides just a YouTube rabbit hole. And I went down and down and down and deep and dark and all of the places. Like if there's a candle video out there in 2020 that was released, I likely watched it. And so I was like, how hard can this be? And I'll just give you the spoiler alert. It's really, I'm not going to say the word hard. So the fact that I even have the now a year or so and a half later to this chance to talk to you guys is about something that I'm really passionate about is really exciting. So I'm going to get to it today. This is the quick and like dirty version of what I have found to be successful for my business based on my business wherewithal and marketing background and applying it as a maker, just like you guys, and trying to figure out how this all works and what makes sense. Last year, 2021 was my first full year in business, and I was able to apply a lot of what I already knew from other businesses and my freelance marketing work with, I worked with about 30 different small businesses in Albuquerque before COVID, none of them after because candles took over my life. And here's the thing, I quickly realized that whatever timeline that we think that we are on to successfully be launching a product or even launching a business, I'm not really sure what stage you guys are at, but regardless, just the word launch, whatever idea or timeline you're thinking of, like I am just going to be the person here in this overarching arching message to just say, take a deep breath and likely add an extra month or two to it. That's just what I'm going to say for the sake of, I do a lot of calls. I have a YouTube channel that I started to really track what starting a business was. It happened to be my candle business. And I've taken everyone along with me for this ride, which it literally is full throttle ride of how to release and curate and have expectations and be a maker and be a wife and be a dog mom or all these things outside of the world. And I just put them in this little YouTube shell and I offer 30 for 30s. And I'm so excited because I'm seeing some familiar faces from those sessions. But I wanted to offer something that was available to makers like myself, whether it's candles or not, where you can literally just reduce the overwhelm. And this topic is really important to me, and I'm going to try and stay on track because there's so many different directions that I can go with it. But I found that last year, one of the biggest mistakes that I made in my first year of business was doing this, putting this undue pressure of seasonal timelines on my products. So I had already launched my business, but then I was like, I launched in December of 2020. And then by the time I even like I wouldn't even say digest, let's say swallowed the fact that I had just launched a business, everything online was like, seasonal, you got to make Valentine's candles and you have to make Mother's Day candles. And I was like, oh my God. And all of a sudden I realized that I was like now making my business based on like these mile markers throughout the year. And I'm not going to do it necessarily different in the sense that I'm not going to make a Valentine's Day candle, or I'm not going to release a Mother's Day package or anything like that. But I am going to do it differently in the sense of that, like every time that those seasonal changes came up or these product release opportunities came up, I was like, I have to do this. And the biggest mistake I made was forcing that as opposed to letting my like everyday line really shine. And the best way I can explain this is for instance, like dark rose and vanilla plum, everybody, or I call it vanilla plum, because I don't know what the other word is that Wooden Wick sells it as. I think it's like labdanum or something. I don't even know. Layman's terms. I'm just from Ohio. I'm not fancy.
Lebdanum. Just so you know, Ashley, and everyone out there, if you aren't sure how to pronounce that, it's lebdanum.
See, there she is. So I knew that I wanted that in my line, but then I was like, I've got to test this. I've got to get this ready. And by the time I was like ready to have the finished product, because I don't want to sell a shit candle, I made sure that the testing and everything was good, but it was literally like a week before Valentine's Day. And I felt like my entire first year, I was just like up against this like pressure or this time clock buzzer beater that no one else really cared about except the calendar. And so what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, and the mapping that I'm doing now going into my second year, I broke it down like really easily for you guys. And if you followed any of my other videos, if you have happened to watch my YouTube, I promise I'm not plugging it, but I do everything by a monthly calendar. So like I have to see that month in advance, but I also have to see it as like a big picture thing. So it's very like broad, it's very 30,000 foot view, it's very deadline oriented. It's not like the individual like get into the weeds information. I don't have my get into the weeds calendar over here. Oh, I do. This is also another 30-foot view, and I have all these templates available if you guys are interested, but this is basically like my 3-month view. So now I'm like even getting broader with it. And then I have a weekly view. I'm definitely making it harder than it needs to be, but I also am a pen to paper gal, and I have to have these 3 different views so that when it's a Monday like today, I'm like, wait, what do I have to get done this week? What do I have to get done this month? And then now my new implementation in 2022 is what do I need to get done this quarter? And I think that that is something that a lot of small business owners aren't really thinking of, because most likely if you guys are like me, I'm the janitor, custodian, accountant, tax person, marketer, face of the reels, face of like all of these things, and the maker. And it's just, and the dog walker, and it's getting out of control. So I needed those different viewpoints. But when I really came down to my successful time that I wanted to share with you guys, I've really chunked it out of it. And so I'm going to base today's conversation as if I'm launching a summer line in July. So July 1st is really the date that I'm working off of. And so what I broke it down into, and we're going to work backwards. So once you pick your date, I think it's best for you guys to start to work backwards to the present day to find that timeline that you guys need. And this one really worked for me where I don't feel like I'm rushed. So if I'm working for July 1st, I want to allow the 2 to 3 weeks before July 1st to really be like, I always call it my hype girl. So like if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, there was like all of those like dancing, singing TV shows, and there was always the people in the back, and they were like the dancers, the hype girls. They were basically like the blood of the show. They were the best part. So that's what I always think of, like the 2 to 3 weeks before my launch date is like when I'm hyping up my product, when I'm hyping up my business. Like that's really like, I need to focus on that. So that means that for those 2 to 3 weeks, I need to have all product photography done. I need to have all of my finished products done. I need to be having all my messaging done, what I want things to look like. And when I'm saying that, I'm meaning if you're promoting your business on social media, email, website, that type of thing. Like you really want to be your own hype person for those 2 to 3 weeks. A month before July 1st, so June 1st, is when I want to make sure all of my deadlines are done. So if I have an outside photographer that's working with me, if I have somebody that's like a web developer, you don't have to have all these things, by the way. And I just really quickly mental health check. I want you guys to feel like if you don't have all these things, that does not mean that you are not going to succeed or not succeeding. Just a little time out there. This is just where I'm at. So apply it to your business, how you see fit and where you're at. But a month before, I want to make sure that I have like all of my product listings ready. I want to be starting to work on things like my keywords, my messaging, and like really focus it out. So then when that 2 to 3 week mark before July 1st hits, I have everything that I need to talk about and I want people to know. And here's the thing from the marketing and business standpoint. they say, and this could have changed, but they'd say that it takes about 8 seconds for someone to either engage or move on from your brand. So always think of your messaging to be very short, sweet, and concise, but very juicy. I know that that's overloaded, but stay with me. Then they also say that it takes people about 7 to 8 visits to your website, your Instagram, whatever it might be, before they're even actually bought in or starting to make a decision about something being a bought decision. Meaning, are they going to click with the call to action to go and buy your product or whatever it might be, or just even interact, which is just like haunting and daunting all at the same time. But you guys, it's really important that we have that 2 to 3 weeks before, that we're really focusing on how are we hyping up the people that are following along with my brand and really empowering them so that they're going to want to just immediately on that launch date, blow up your business and hopefully sell out your product, because that's just what I'm speaking into existence for each and every one of you. The other part that I wanted to tell you, so we now have a month before. So 2 months before is really when we want to make sure, and this might even be pushing it, I might add another month to it, and it's say 2 to 3, especially coming off the heels of holiday. We want to make sure that all of our products are ordered, that make up like all of our cost of good, all of our expenses, everything like that. So if I'm launching summer, and let me just put it this way. I was on one of the Facebook groups and someone was like, what should I do for Valentine's Day? And I just really wanted to be like, save yourself the stress and just work for Mother's Day right now, because this is, we gone, it's past. Like in order to test a new scent, to make sure everything's good, get the labels, all of the stuff, like just save yourself the stress. But let's say 2 to 3 months, I'll even change my own rule here. We want to make sure that if we have any specialty vessels that they're already on order. We want to make sure that we have our wax, our fragrance oil, whatever it is that makes up the good that you are selling or the product that you're selling, the design of the labels, all of that. And why that's important is because with that 2 to 3 months before July 1st, we want to make sure that we have all that stuff for product photography too. And we need to remember that that's going to be at least a month out from when we release. I know this because I had product photos today for Mother's Day, if that gives you any sort of inclination of where I'm working here. Okay, so then 2 to 3 months before that, we want to be testing. We want to be testing, and we need to have enough legs of that time to be testing our products, especially if it's candles. We know the like literally like the patience that it takes to make a candle. And honestly, like you should be very impatient. You should be very stressed out around testing. And if you're not, then I am probably going to be the stick in the mud that says you might not be doing it right. I hate to be that person, but there has not been a smooth testing period for me yet where I am completely signed, sealed, delivered on the scent throw, on the wick, how it's performing. And I'm not even talking like at the top of the vessel, I'm talking at the bottom of the vessel. Like there just needs to be this awkward dating period with every scent and candle or product that you are testing. And you need to give that enough legs. So it needs to be 2 to 3 months. And I firmly stand by that. Can it be done sooner in shorter period? Absolutely. But the thing is my whole shtick and my whole spiel on my YouTube or whenever I have the opportunity to talk to people one-on-one is we need to be reducing the overwhelm, because there's already going to be a million other factors in this business world that are going to come at you like wild banshees, and they are going to derail you. So the things that we can control are going to be the things that we can minimize and reduce stress from. And that's just the simple template of testing about 4 to 5 months out from whenever we want to launch something, ordering everything about 3 to 4 months out from when we want to launch something, having the photos and everything done 1 to 2 months before we want to launch something. And then we have like this clear, nice space. That's not my office right now, which is why I'm blocking all the mess behind me. Then we have this clear, nice, it's almost like this runway that we have now built for ourselves where we can just take off and solely focus on pushing our product. And I know that that sounds really aggressive take of like pushing your product, but honestly, like you need to promote, you need to push, you need to like be visible in front of people's faces. And I always think of this, if there was a platform that was ever removed from your business right now, what would your business do? Meaning, if I were to lose Instagram right now, what would my business do? If I were to lose email right now, what would my business do? If I were to, God forbid, lose my website right now, like what would my business do? And not saying that you need to change everything that you're doing right now, but you do need to diversify the ways in which you talk to potential customers. How's that?
Love it. Very important. Great stuff, Ashley.
Yeah. So, and the next thing that I wanted to share with you guys, then we're going to open it up for questions and things like that, is with these different planners that I do, each week, what I really try and do now, do as I say, not as I do, because I wish I was like this put together all the time. This session made me put myself together. Every week, what I like to figure out, and if you followed any of my videos, I know I've said that a million times, but I make these checklists and I put a little box next to each task, because no one else in my business, because it's just me, is going to print me out an Employee of the Month certificate, and no one else is going to give me a gold star. Those days are gone. I tried to implement that in my household, and I made my husband Employee of the Month at the beginning of COVID because he worked from home too, and he did not return the favor. So that was kind of upsetting. And so stick with me though. What I do is, for instant gratification, is I make the check boxes. And then I also like to add colors because, I got to spice up my life over here. And so I have these different color Sharpies. And what I'll do is really break it out. I work in threes on everything. What do I have to get done this week? What do I need to get done this week? And what do I want to get done this week? Have to is like pay your bills or you're evicted type of things. Need to is like, oh, I've been putting that off. I need to get that done. I know it's going to help me. Want to is like those weird days where it feels like the seas just part and you have like all this time and like creative energy. Like that's what I kind of divide things up into. And I do that with every product launch. It's like, what do I have to get done? What do I need to get done? And what do I want to get done? And by the time that that list is done, like it's just a good day. I'm gonna say that. So I hope that this helped you guys. I have way more that I can talk to about all of this. So you guys will know where to find me. I'm actually going to send in the chat right now my YouTube link. So if you guys want to connect with me there, that's a really good way for me to help as much as I can. Or if you want to schedule a 30 for 30, it's just 30 minutes, $30. Pretty brass tacks, and you just come at me like rapid fire with like whatever questions you have that are keeping you up at night, and then we just try and like very simplify, make them easy, and like reduce the overwhelm. So let's get to questions.
Yay. Well, thank you so much, Ashley. That is great. And I'm super stoked for all the people who are going to probably have conversations with you offline here. Great stuff. So we will go ahead and open up the floor for questions. Let's see, the best way to do this probably is, I don't know if we just want to rapid fire with everyone coming off of mute, or if you guys want to drop them in the chat here.
One question we can start with from the chat. And this is from, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing it, Pramila. And she said that she's currently in the testing phase, settled on a company name and logo, but has been asked, who do you want your target market to be? What kind of story do you want to tell? That's the hard part, figuring out something that sets you apart for others. So do you have any advice for her on that?
Oh my gosh, this topic sets me absolutely on fire. So you guys, I'm going to use my hands a lot. I'm probably going to ramble. So just like stick with me. If Pramila's on the call, I would.
I'm right here, and you said my name perfectly.
Oh, never happens. I'm resurrecting myself from labdanum.
Yeah. I've been spending so much time going back and forth. I changed my Instagram and the logo multiple times.
Yeah.
And I finally settled on this, and I'm talking to people that are already in business, and they're asking me questions that I don't know how to answer.
Totally. So here's the thing. I'm going to give you brass tacks for the sake of time, but obviously, like if we need to take it offline, I absolutely will. This is a question I get asked more often than not. So here's the thing with your target market. Like you really, the thing that's the obvious question is like, well, why wouldn't I want to just sell a candle to everyone? That's usually what happens. Like, why would I want to narrow it down to a certain target market? And it's simply the thing. I mean, if we haven't seen divisiveness in our country in the last like 2 years, then I don't know, you're never going to please everyone. So why would you have the wasted energy on people who are just simply are never going to be converted to a candle lover, never going to be converted to something that is your style, your brand, your thing like that. So I think, Pramila, for you, what I would suggest is what brought you to even making a candle in the first place? So you don't have to answer that now, because again, that's like, we could talk for hours about this. But what I want you to do is internally think of, why was I even motivated to make a candle? Who do I picture in my mind if I close my eyes and I'm like at a farmer's market or something like that, coming up to my booth and like truly appreciating my candles? And it doesn't necessarily have to be like a female or this age or anything like that, which we're usually trained to decide as our target market. But it's more people that like, what is their lifestyle? Do they like a clean lifestyle? Are they cost conscientious? Like all of these different like deciding factors in the world is what will help you get to a nice target market and understand that. Now, in regards to your story, and when I asked you what made you want to make a candle in the first place, when you go internally and you start answering that question, that's going to be your story. That's going to be your why. That's going to be your deciding factors, because I hate to break anyone's little candle making or body care, skincare line making heart on this call. But what we're doing, and no offense to Wooden Wick, but probably all of us on here are using the same exact vessels and the same exact scents, and we're slapping some labels on them. The label's the first part that's going to be a difference maker, but we really need to be sharing our story, sharing the reason why we decided to make a candle in the first place, sharing anything that our candle could potentially solve out in the world. For me, it was just simply mental health. I was deep down depressed, and I knew that I'd like to light a candle because it made me feel a bit more in control of my day. So that was then now my why. That was now the target audience that I started to talk to. So it's almost kind of like an individual therapy session that you're going to need to have with yourself, Pramila, and anyone else listening, because you're just really going to have to go like deep in answering these questions that might seem silly on the outside, but they're going to give you a lot of information on how you map out your story, your brand, your line of candles.
I think my story is somewhat similar to yours a little bit, but I mean, I was thinking of making a line of ethnic scented candles. That's one thing I can do, being from a foreign country.
Yeah. So then my next question to you is, why would you want to make ethnic scented candles or whatever that line is? Then you need to go and answer that question, and then keep going. Everything that you have an idea, then ask yourself, why am I doing this? Answer that, and then likely you'll have to ask that question again and again and again. But I want to give everyone else time, Pramila.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so we have just a few more here. So one of our makers works a 9 to 5 and is wondering how they can manage content creation and how they could go about getting help for something like that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, again, like all these topics just light me on fire. So just I'm like sweating. This is so exciting.
I love it, Ashley.
You probably didn't even know that.
Yeah.
This is the thing. So I came from a freelance marketing background. So like I literally had people pay me money because they were just like, I don't have the creativity. I don't have the time. I need to be on Instagram. Like we know at the end of the day that we have to like play these social media games in order to get increased visibility. It's not going to be the signed, sealed, delivered, like Stevie Wonder style of your business. It's not going to happen, but you do have to kind of, I always use an analogy of like, it's kind of like whenever you were in high school and you made the team, but you never actually got to play, but you still had to like suit up, you had to be there on time, and you had to do those ridiculous stretches. Like that's kind of what social media is and what we have to do in order to engage and kind of like tickle the feathers of the algorithm. Here's the thing. I don't know the person's name that asked that, but the best thing you can do is sit down and make yourself do it. even if it's just an hour a week, 30 minutes, give me that. Hiring someone to go and be the voice of your business. And I'm assuming if you're on this call, you're at a similar level that I am. We're not the PF candle companies. We're not the, I don't want to be, but Yankee. We're not like at that level. And I think the hugest detriment that somebody can do for their brand and their voice is hire it to go to someone else just because they just are not that interested in doing it. I think as a business owner in this day and age, you just kind of have to sign up again to be the janitor, to be the candle maker, to be all these things. Maybe it's someone in your family that's really close to you and your story, and they can kind of be the face of it. But I'm kind of a hard line on that one, so I'm a little bad to answer. Maybe Melissa could give something else, but I just think at the end of the day, take that money and the overhead that you would spend, put it right back into just paying yourself an hour a week to do it. I'm sorry. I know you're not going to want to hear that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, guys, I would echo that too. What Ashley's saying about the telling your brand story, there's really no one other than you being able to tell that authentic voice and authentic story about why you do, like, really put the heart and soul into it. And that's what people really resonate with, especially in this day and age. So I would echo that and recommend that you just take 25 to 30 minutes a day. If you only have 10 minutes, do it on your lunch break, do it before you go to bed. If you don't want to do it right before you go to bed, maybe carve out some time before or after dinner. Just get creative with learning those things and kind of getting comfortable with being on those different platforms. And you'll be surprised at how quickly it becomes second nature to you.
I promise it's like the most fun part of my job right now. Like, I know that I also am not shy. Clearly, you guys can probably pick that up, but it literally is a creative outlet for me that brings me joy. And I know that not everyone's wired like that, but I promise you, you have to give people something. And to go back to Pramila's point, like, you have to give people something to hold on to. That's not just I'm selling a candle, because unfortunately, there's probably someone down the road that's doing that as well today too. So I just need to stand out.
I love all of these answers. So much passion. Okay, so just a few more. So do you have any tips, Ashley, on how to project quantities when you're launching? Like, what kind of information do you take into consideration when doing?
Absolutely. So I was fortunate enough when I launched my business, and this isn't like, again, a measure of you're doing enough or not enough. So my full disclaimer, mental health check on that. When I launched my business, I had done my 2 to 3 weeks before really promoting the brand, really like getting people to sign up for emails. So when I launched my actual business, I think I had made around like 275 candles of 2 different sizes, 5 different scents. And I sold out within 8 hours. But I'm going to tell you guys, and I'm not saying that as like a woohoo, go Ashley. I'm saying it as I worked my ass off to make that happen. And so now going back and, like, for instance, I'm using this example. I was part of a big market here in my city. It was a holiday market, thousands and thousands, I think like 20,000 people went. Like, it was a really, really big thing. And I poured and poured and poured and poured and poured and poured and poured my life. I swear, like, I don't even know what, I'm still, like I said, digesting it. I think I took like 700, 800, 900, somewhere in between their candles to this event. And I brought probably like 200 or 300 back. And leading up to that, that was like a huge fear of mine, making too much product. But now that I have witnessed that, I'm like enjoying January, because now I have all the inventory just ready to go, and it's lovely. So there isn't an equation. There isn't like a magic number. This is random because I'm releasing a video on this. There's not a magic number for it, but more often than not, if you can just shift the mentality of, I would rather have more than enough product than not enough. Because if you sell out, then you sell out. And unless you have like an aggressive pre-sale sales pitch to give to people, I mean, I probably wouldn't buy something that I wasn't going to get instant gratification of. I mean, maybe, I don't know, you might have more hype around your brand, which is kudos, do it. But I just say, unless you're planning to go out of business 3 months from now, make the product, make more than enough product, and then you'll just be that much more prepared into the next thing that you do. I don't know. Did that answer that?
Yeah, I love that. Over preparing is definitely better. And
I also do want to say that there is a financial piece to that. And so I'm not saying like, I don't know what everyone's finances is, and I'm probably oversimplifying that. And so like, if you're literally like investing every last dollar, that's kind of not possible. But I think at that point, then you just need to look at your finances and make every candle that your finances allow if you're taking this seriously. Okay, sorry.
Perfect. So do you have any tips on mastering reels? And in addition to that, how often would you recommend posting to Instagram?
Okay. So reels absolutely like skyrocketed my Instagram, and a little context behind this. Like I was saying, I've managed social media for many, many years for a lot of local small businesses. And the two things that I now know going into it is, one, no matter how good your marketing professional is, they're still not you, and they're still not going to emulate the words that you would bring out of your mouth. So there's always that kind of downfall. And then the other thing with social media that I've realized is like, you have got to get out of your own way. If you look at my feed, I have a lot of strong feelings about Instagram and how it's used. I use it specifically for my business. So just as a warning, if you go to my Instagram and start asking me questions on Instagram, you're probably going to think I'm very rude, but I'm just not going to give you answers on that, because it's just not I use it strictly for my business. It's a really good way for you to go look at the Instagram though and see reels are very powerful. I try, and what I noticed is that if I was pretty much publishing anywhere from 5 to 7 reels a week, and they are not like world production. Like I don't sometimes even have like a ring light or anything. It's like terrible lighting, but people don't care. You have to immediately think of Instagram the way you are as a consumer. When you go on your Instagram, what do you like to see? Me, I like to see people like doing things behind the scenes, and I really like to see like cat, dog, and animal videos, because they're not staged. Like they're just not like, no, I mean, some of them might be, but like cats and dogs and animals, they pretty much are just like living their life, and somebody's taking a video of it, and I am double tapping that shit because I love it. So what I suggest to you guys is like, get out of your own way as much as you can. You don't have to put your face behind the reels, but Instagram is a business, and they're competing right now against TikTok. And so all they're doing is just literally like, I just imagine that there's like some dude that has like a iced coffee, and he's like sitting behind the scenes of Instagram, and he's just like viral, viral, viral. Like he doesn't even care. And anything that amuses him, he just like, that's not what it is. But in my mind, I'm a visual learner. That makes sense to me. But Instagram is here to beat TikTok because they don't own it yet. So they are wanting video content. They are wanting behind the scenes. They're wanting all of the things that you think aren't pretty or curated. That's what you should be publishing right now.
Amazing, Ashley. Such good advice. Just get out there and do it, guys. I can
Rip off the
definitely
Band-Aid.
that too. Yeah. And as someone who also was not comfortable in front of a camera prior to embodying this role at Wood & Wick, I've definitely like taken my time to like practice and get comfortable in front of the camera, and it's not always perfect. You guys probably have seen my live videos on Instagram where I'm fumbling for words and dropping things and mispronouncing stuff all the time. So just keep doing it. Just be authentic and real, and you can always, like, if you mess up, like, part of the experience of being authentic is just admitting that you messed up on camera and just rolling with it. So we're all human. We're all in this together. We're all like, we all make mistakes. We all have our imperfections, and we just got to put ourselves out there.
And I honestly feel like, you know, like I know the easiest one for me to pull from is because I just watched a crazy video of like Kanye or something, but like, I don't relate to Kim Kardashian. I'll watch her. I think it's interesting, but like, I relate more to the chick down the street that's talking about like the shitty day that she had. Like, and I'm not saying go on there and air your dirty laundry, but make it relatable. Like at the end of the day, that's your target audience. That's who you're talking to. So I don't know, just again, my visuals.
It's great. I love it. I can like totally picture it in my head too.
Yes.
Well,
what else do we have?
We've got some time for a few more questions. Jess, do we have anything else to go through from the chat?
So Karen is curious as to what website platform you started with and what was the easiest to set up payments on.
Yeah, so most of the website platforms that are out there now, they all come with like a built-in processor, credit card processor, things like that. This is another thing too, that if you have the ability to really set up your own website, it's daunting, it's terrifying, it's stressful. You're gonna say a lot of words that you'll probably regret, but at the end of the day, knowing the back end of where you are selling your product is really important, and then you can hire it out from there. I personally use Shopify. I've used Wix, I've used Squarespace, I've used GoDaddy. I wouldn't recommend that just because it needs to go a lot farther. Buy your domain there, but don't do much else. Or do it, I don't care. If you love GoDaddy, I'm sorry, don't be mad at me. But I think if I were to set up an account now, I would still go with Shopify. I feel very strongly about Shopify in the sense that the amount that my business has grown, even in the last year, I feel like Shopify is still there, able to provide what my business needs as it grows. If maybe you're not quite there yet, or you're looking for something that helps you design and kind of like, I would use Wix if you feel like you can make a Word document, then you can build a website on Wix. I firmly believe that. They have a lot of templates out there that are really great. And again, credit card processing and shipping can all be done through there. I still have one of my businesses through Wix, but I just felt like Shopify was a better platform for the amount of products and information that I was trying to take in from a customer resource management standpoint. So, what was the rest of the question?
Oh, you covered it. It was essentially which platform you're using.
Yeah. And I do have a video that like compares Wix and Shopify. But honestly, like in this day and age, Shopify is it's kind of like the Apple, iPhone, Android thing. Like they're really taking it over, and I'm here for the ride. So.
Perfect. So another great question from Kay Davis is, do you do market research before you design something or choose scents, or are you just creating what you like?
Definitely creating what I like. I did market research in the sense of searching out candle businesses in my local area, because I knew that I was going to be heavily involved in community events and marketing and things like that were like in my zip code, is a good way to put it. So that's a lot of the market research that I did. I wanted to know who else was making a candle business, who else was already in the candle game here in Albuquerque. I can honestly say that there was probably like 3 that I found in my like region. That is no longer the number anymore. It is skyrocketed exponentially. But that was really the only market research that I did. The rest is because my brand is so closely attached to me and who I am. It's all based on what I like. And this comes really good down to scents. I like looked back on what scents I have added or have had, or what are my best selling scents over the year. And it's still the starting lineup that I had. And those were all still in my first order from Wood & Wick, which is just like mind blowing to me. So like when you get those outside pressures of like, oh, I should be doing this type of candle, or, oh, I need to like fill this category. Yeah, you might need to diversify your line, but like at the end of the day, you're selling the product. You have to like what it smells like. That's like whenever someone's like, oh, I had someone come and they like asked for a custom blend of a candle. And I was like, ugh, gross. I don't think I'd ever want to do that. Because what if I don't like it?
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah, the custom thing is definitely a whole nother rabbit hole we could get into.
Like you better pay my month's bills. Sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
That's awesome, Ashley.
What else do we have? I know we probably need to.
Yeah, we'll do one more. And I really like this question because I think transitioning online with everything has been such a big change for everyone, but it's also opened up so many new doors, so many new opportunities. So one of our makers is asking if you would recommend partnering with local boutiques to set up candles in their stores to be sold.
Yeah, absolutely. So just down to brass tacks, that's usually what we call wholesaling. So if we wholesale our candles, that basically means that I like to call them partnerships, just because I like everyone. I don't sell really to places that I wouldn't shop in. Maybe that's to my own demise. I'm not really sure, but before I launched my brand, I had basically like a hit list, for lack of a better word, of the places that I really wanted to be in or that I could see my brand in. And so immediately I was off to the races and trying to get my candles into their spaces. Wholesaling is a huge part of my business. I think last year it equated for probably about 30% of my income. So it was a pretty big contributor to what my bottom line was. Now, there's pluses and minuses with it, with everything, because that's just the world we live in. Obviously, your margins are going to be a lot different in regards to what you take home for profit. So I think really firming up what your cost of goods sold is the first and foremost thing that you should do before even considering wholesale. Because the typical rule of thumb is you take your cost of goods, so everything that it costs to make one candle, and then you times it by 2, and that's your wholesale price, and then times it by 4, and that's your retail price. Now, don't die on that hill, because you can obviously wiggle those numbers as much as you want, because I don't know your bottom line, but the benefits of wholesale, outside of it being less of a profit in my pocket, is just simply for reach and for brand visibility. So I knew that I was fine with not making as much take home cash, because I wanted more people to reach my candles that I wouldn't be able to touch. So that is wholesale. I have a whole wholesale series and things that I talk about on my YouTube. I know I said that a lot, but a lot of these answers are things that I've already said, and not to anyone's fault. But if you just want more into a deeper dive of the topic, like I said, I put my YouTube link in here. I'll put it in again to refresh it. But that's a great place to get like these answers.
Awesome, Ashley. Such good stuff. So I know that we saw in the chat here, people were asking if we were going to keep doing these, and the answer is yes, everyone. We are going to continue doing these consistently. You will likely see Ashley here also talking about some other topics that she just touched on more in depth. So stay tuned as we announce some more of the dates coming up here. And Ashley, if you just want to go ahead and tell us again where we can find you on social media, your website, maybe your YouTube channel, and then and reiterate your 30 to 30 concept, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. Well, I won't pass up a good plug. You can find me at upsidegoodsco.com. You can also click purchase, and I will send you a lovely little note. I had to. I know you're candle makers. You don't need to buy other candles, but in the off chance you want to, that's the best way to find me and support me and get my attention. But I am on YouTube, and I feel very strange on YouTube. It's definitely not a platform I ever thought I would be on, but I also felt very passionate about launching this business and really coming back into like how to do things and taking people along for the ride. And so it's very much as this style of dialogue. It's me in my office just talking. I don't necessarily tell you how to make a candle, but I tell you when I've made candles and then what I do with them. So how I sell them, how I market them, all the things. So if you're looking for what wick to use, I am not your girl. But if you're looking how to sell the wick that you have, I might be your girl. Yeah, so that is YouTube /Upside Goods Co. I think something like that. I am on Instagram and all of that. And I definitely, I have a lot of fun on Reels. I definitely make fun of myself a lot. So if you need a laugh, that's probably a good place to go. So.
Amazing, Ashley. Well, thank you so much. And again, Ashley has consultations that she does. If you guys want to chat with her in depth about any topics that we touched on today or something outside of that, hit her up for her 30 for 30, where you can just bounce ideas off of her and get all the gold nuggets from her brain. So again, thanks so much, Ashley, for joining us. Thank you everyone for tuning in. It was a really special group today, and we will see you guys very, very soon for many more of these. Have a great week, everyone, and happy making. And thanks again, Ashley. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.